Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I'm glad we were able to answer it. Okay, y'all, those are all the questions. So, Glow Up, I know that you're in here. I agree, Siobhan. As someone that is a therapist and I don't always see the best of things, yes, I agree. Okay, yay. Okay, y'all, we are about to get into these charts, baby. To these charts, baby. Yes, let's get to 1 million. Oh my
Hi.
God. I'm trying to just get to 10,000 this month. Hello,
Mhm.
glowing up, girl.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Hi. Oh, by the way, sorry for interrupting the live like I did. I feel so bad. But great content, great insight, especially on raising young men. I think people need that for real.
Yay. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for saying that. And then this was mine, Shine. It was a Christmas gift from my boss. Okay, y'all. Glowing up. Will you please just like whatever you want the people to call you, please let us know. I'm happy to use glowing up.
We
Whatever you
can
want
use
them.
Glow. We can use Glow. Everybody just calls me Glow.
Thank you, Amina. This is so much better. I appreciate my mods in here holding us down. Okay. So Glow, I came across you because one of my followers, Free 99 online, actually sent me your videos about Taylor and about Nick. And I was like, oh, hold on. He is saying all the things that I've been saying as a clinician. I really want the people to hear it. Um, and so I'm so grateful that you agreed to like come into the space and to share about him and his chart. And I know that you're like, this is a chart that is whew, very.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. I am honestly very curious. I know your audience knows a lot about you. I do not. So I would genuinely love to know more about what you mean when you say you're a clinician, only because I'm genuinely curious and interested.
Yes, so I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. So when I watch the show, I'm always critically analyzing through like that lens around the relationship dynamics, but also them as people. So I did a lot of my undergraduate. Y'all that don't know, you're hearing for the first time too. My undergraduate research, my thesis was written on Black womanhood in relationship to Black manhood within the context of romantic relationships and family dynamics. And then I went on to get my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And so that's what I do like for my day job. But when I'm watching, my daughter actually asked me to watch this show because she watched last season. And so I watched this season with her and have been really observing things about all the Islanders. But Taylor, I've made a couple of videos, I think three at this point, about his
Hmm.
behaviors and the way that he engages with Clark and Alandria. But at this point, he and Clark were the couple once I started really kind of talking about him explicitly. And so some things that I've noticed, I just realized that you were also saying in your analysis based on his chart. And I just thought that was so interesting. What else do you want to?
Okay. No, this is good to know because what I'm getting from what you're saying is because of because of your studying and because of your educational path and background and journey, you're able to clock things from a professional standpoint that I'm clocking from an astrological standpoint. And mind you, I don't consider myself to be an astrologer. I'm a business major. Like, I went to school for business, international business. In the real world, I work in cybersecurity. So I don't know anything about just how people with your background or people that study the psychology behind dynamics within families and social settings and things like that. I don't understand that the way that you would. Um, I've only, done the work based off of my own self introspection. So that's completely different. So to be able to watch somebody like you clock certain things, I find that very interesting and very enlightening. Because from my standpoint, I'm like the only excuse or the only reply I can give when somebody's like, "Well, how do you know?" I'm like, "It's in his chart." Like, duh.
The astrology, the signs and the stars said so, baby.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just find that super interesting. Yes, Taylor, um, that's a scary chart. That's a scary chart. And I would like for us to give trigger warnings because his chart is very complex and there's a lot of underlying alleged things that I'm seeing there that are very concerning. Um, Not just from a if you are a woman entering a relationship with a man, but just even if you're like, if you had grown up as a child and you've dealt with childhood trauma, his chart is very uncomfortable for me to look at. I It made me very uneasy going through it. It's like when you are told not to go into the attic of a scary house and
Mhm.
you walk towards the door, and as you get closer to the door, your stomach feels funny, and then you touch the doorknob and you open it and it creaks open. Like it's that's the kind of feeling I feel when I look at his chart.
Okay.
Yeah,
So y'all hear that, right? So please take care of yourselves as you're in this space with us, right? We talk about this space being a brave and courageous space, and you should always be prioritizing your care. Drop from the live if you need to. Walk away, step away, take a break.
please.
If you realize this is like too much for you to take in, that is okay. I would not be offended at all. So just be, please note how to, please take care of yourself in this space. Grab a cup of water if you don't have one handy with you so that you can also be, tending to yourself in that way as well as you're hearing the information.
Wonderful. Yes, I agree 100%. And I also would like to preface by saying I am a very blind analyzer. So I do not look at Love Island. I have not watched anything on Love Island. Everything I'm doing is based off of what I'm reading. So when people are telling me that I'm right, I don't want them to assume like, oh, she's a soothsayer. I'm not that girl. I don't even talk to voices, let alone myself. So like, like um what I'm seeing is just when I'm looking at the numbers and when I'm looking at the charts on paper, it has nothing to do with me talking to voices or anything like that. I'm not that girl. I wish, no, actually, no, I don't. I feel like that's too complicated. But that's just not me. So please keep that in mind as we're going through information. With that being said, where do we want to start?
There's so much just from what I saw on the video and on your live. I think it would be really, I know that everybody on my page that has watched my videos about him has heard me talk about the abuse behaviors, the
Yes.
power and control dynamic at play. And so I think that honestly, I'm gonna let you take the lead, and we can kind of ping pong back and forth as appropriate. But I'm gonna let you take the lead. I want to trust your
Okay.
what you feel led to share.
Okay, so the first thing I want to get into with Taylor, when I did the initial thing I was looking for when I was looking at his chart is because somebody asked me, can you look at Taylor's chart? I have been very reluctant to look at Taylor's chart. I'm one of those people, once I see someone and I realize I don't like someone, at that point, that's where it stops. Like for me, I'm just one of those people. I'm just like, look, I don't like their energy. I don't like their vibe. The way they're talking to other people is very concerning to me in a it's very negative. I just don't even want to know anymore about this person. I've seen enough to know this isn't a good person. So I've been very reluctant to look at Taylor's chart. I've been very reluctant to look at Clark's chart. I haven't even looked at Ace or Shelley's chart. Um, and last night I took the time to look at Clark. I took the time to look at Pepe and Iris and those people. But let's talk about Taylor. This chart, when I saw it, it was like I was seeing um, it was like I was seeing somebody, and instead of like when sometimes when, and I don't see auras either, but when people describe how they see auras, they normally say I see either like a orange light or a red light. It was like I was seeing nothing but black because of how he is. Mind you, I grew up in a household, I'm the only Gemini in a household of a parent that's a dad that's Gemini. All my siblings are Geminis, and my mom is a Pisces. So I'm the only reasonable. I need to stop. I'm the only. I'm the only. I'm the only adult in the situation.
Don't
Um,
do us, Pisces.
No, I'm just saying, like, I, as an oldest daughter, um, and with a Capricorn female child who's also the oldest daughter, there's the dynamic of them coming in and calibrating the dynamic of the family, and then also breaking certain generational things that have been done a certain way all the time. They actually come in and then they switch that up. And so that's normally what I see. And then also I like to say when I'm looking at charts with Black women, we tend to have a lot of Capricorn in our charts because a lot of times with Black women are having to learn how to, the one of the number one lesson a lot of Black women have to learn is that you don't have to do anything to earn love. Your dynamic around love is simply existing and loving yourself, and then everything else will come from that. And I have that in my chart. It's something that I have to learn. It's something that I see when I read a lot of Black women is, well, they're like, well, when am I going to meet my man? How I'm like, no, babes, you can't. You're not going to be ready to meet this man because you're not going to be able to accept his love. I grew up Christian, so the only way I can describe it, and I'm not a long skirt wearing, long hair flowing Christian. I'm not a Pentecostal anymore. But that's the only way I can relate it to some people is when I try to explain it is when I've read the Bible and I've read certain readings on the Bible, one thing that stands out is when they describe heaven, they say the reason everybody isn't allowed to go into heaven is not because heaven is, they don't want them in heaven. It's because they would be miserable there because of the way they've lived their lives here. So you can't be happy in a place where it's completely different from how you've been living your life. So you want to party, you want to do this, you want to do that. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to do that up there. So you're going to be miserable, even though it's safe and happy and you're not burning.
Mhm.
If you describe it that way, that's the way it's going to be if you don't learn how to love yourself. You're not going to be happy in that relationship because you are not ready to accept how this man is going to love you.
Mhm.
And so we have to sit in loving ourselves first before we can even begin to accept the love from somebody else. And so that's the lesson that I see recurring for a lot of Black women. With that being said, this man's chart is the scariest chart that I've seen, not because of the Gemini placements, but because of how the Gemini placements are aspected.
Mhm.
So he has Gemini in his sun, his moon, his Venus, his Mars, all in Gemini. So, and people that are like this, my father is somewhat like this, but my brother is like this. And they have had a lot of healing work that they have to do. Um, he has a lot of mutable air energy, so he comes off as very charming, which is true because my father comes off as very charming, and that's why when I clocked it, I was comparing him to Gemini's that I know. It's they're very charming. They come off as some of them are very, depending on what other placements they have, they're very smooth talking, very erudite. They might speak multiple languages, or they just might know how to use their words very well. Taylor will sell you air and you're already breathing oxygen.
Mhm.
That's how good he is verbally. And that's very good if you're very healed and you want a career in sales.
Mm.
But that's very bad if you're unhealed because it is a very manipulative placement.
Yes.
And how that can come off if you're not like super quick of mind. And all Geminis are smart. Gemini is one of the fastest, slickest mouth signs in the zodiac. Wait, are you a Gemini, sir? Why'd you do that?
No,
Because our son is a
my son's a
Gemini.
Gemini, and
Okay, yeah. So they are very smart people, and it's like and they have a duality to them. It's a Jekyll Hyde duality, and maybe your son. It's okay, okay.
Let me tell you, Glow. Let me tell you, we see all the time. Like it's he'll be crying. Like when he was younger, right? He would be crying. Just whatever happened was it was the worst thing that could have possibly happened, and then he'll just start laughing, and I'll be like,
Yeah,
that's some Gemini shit.
no, no, and I'm telling you, it's one of their best but scariest qualities. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is it allows them to compartmentalize trauma. So they can switch. They talk about the Capricorn switch. Gemini has a switch that is completely different from that because instead of them switching mentally, they switch into a whole new person
Okay, can I pause you right
completely.
there?
Yes,
Y'all remember on the Stand on Business challenge, right? We talked about how Taylor's eyes went wild. He had that moment where he was clearly embarrassed by Alandria, and immediately you can literally watch his eyes. You watch him switch into a
yes.
whole different person than you saw him be the rest of the time he was in the villa. Okay, go ahead.
Correct. No, that is exactly what happens with them. And it can be, it's, and honestly, it's never good. It's never good when that happens. I always tell people, like, Geminis, some of them are small in stature. Some of the men are smaller in stature. Not all of them are always tall. But with that, please don't ever put your eggs in the basket of picking on a Gemini and thinking that you're going to get into a fight with them and win. When you fight them, it's like you're fighting somebody that's possessed by a legion of demons. It's like you're fighting two different people at the same time. You might as well have entered into getting jumped and volunteered. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm so serious. You might think your son doesn't know how to fight, and meanwhile, he's folding people left and right in back alleys for a side
No,
quest. Like,
we know. We know. We had to tell his teachers if you go low, he's going to go to hell. So please,
yeah,
everybody, keep it cute.
he's going to go to hell and he's going to take over and he's going to be the new leader in that environment, in that realm. And now you're going to him to make deals because now he's the new, like, it's crazy. So that's how it is. There's that duality. And then on top of that, of the minute, if they get really angry, especially, I don't know what his birth order is. Is he the youngest or is he, I think you said,
I think he's the youngest. Taylor's the youngest.
no, for your son.
Oh, my son is the youngest too. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Taylor is the youngest, but I can tell you right now, when they get angry with their siblings, especially their female siblings, the first thing they're gonna do is threaten their lives. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're gonna go to the mom and be like, I'm gonna kill, I'm gonna, I'm gonna undo, I'm gonna delete, I'm gonna, erase. That's the first thing they do. Because they see red. They're very much like that. And the thing is, you being a Pisces mom, when you get mad, you see red too. So it's a, and okay, sorry, sir. But so Taylor is there's a duality about Taylor that is very frightening because he comes off as very charming, he comes off as very caring, he comes off as very loving, but underneath it all, he's very restless, he's very inconsistent, and he's very scattered. But he's very good at hiding that with an air of being put together, with an air of a charming country club ascot wearing, mumsy type of demeanor.
Mhm.
Yes. And so when you see him, you think this is somebody that I could definitely want in my life for the long term. But you don't understand that this is a very volatile individual. It's like watching it's like putting vinegar and limes together and creating an acidic, volatile chemical mixture together, and this mixture is very volatile because it's not because of how the electrons are, there's remaining valence electrons and things like that in it. That's what I'm seeing. So he comes off as very sweet, approachable, and he did that in the villa. And then on top of that, they come off as very childlike, like little brother energy, like I'm gonna take you under their wing. Meanwhile, they're the smartest mastermind in the room.
Mhm.
And Taylor has admitted to that, which I didn't see coming. When he was in that interview with Nick and Kiki, and he said, everybody thinks Ace is the one that voted Jeremiah out, and I was the one that was, telling everybody to get rid of Jeremiah. And poor Ace, yeah, and they're very masterminds, and sometimes they like to pull the strings without looking like they're pulling the strings. And a lot of times you'll see this behavior in women more so than men, but Gemini men tend to be this way as well. He's very manipulative through his charm. So if you and him, let's say he's, being abusive to a significant other, her mother will love him.
Okay.
Her,
Can I say something about that with Taylor real quick?
yes, ma'am.
So I told y'all, right, that so to of Blow's points, that he needs to ingratiate himself to the public. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to be ingratiated to us because he is a public figure. He needs us all as the public to be like, he would never when things come out. And this is why Clark was the one sitting on that video saying, we're tired of this. We just want to be able to, it can't come from him. He needs to manipulate her into being the person that gives the message to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead, Glow.
And the crazy thing is, it would be a Capricorn woman that would do it. And the reason for that is because most Capricorn women are male aligned for the early parts of their lives because most of their best teachers are men, meaning they were either raised by a father or a grandfather or an uncle that has taught them. how to be the best version of a female that a man would find desirable and attractive, while also being taught by the women in their lives how to be the perfect picture of femininity.
Mm,
So Capricorn women have a duality about them too. And so Clark, as I was looking at her chart, Clark has a appearance of not being interesting. I, even as a Capricorn, said I am. She does not. She is so unappealing to me. As far as there's nothing about her I wish to know, and they do it that way on purpose, because sometimes when you look at a Capricorn woman at face value, she can come off as bookish. She can come off as boring, come off as what people call square and unassuming. But in reality, underneath it all, she could be like a complete freak, a complete, like, underneath it all, have all this stuff that, like,
mhm.
fire. um they're very attracted to power, and because of that, that attraction to power at a young age can make them be easily manipulated, and that's what's going on. She's looking at Taylor, and in her mind she's doing what most Capricorns do, is I'm calculating how much I'm investing into this and what the return on investment is going to be for me. They might not look at it like that, but in their mind, they're we all think all Capricorns look at things from a business aspect, even if we don't think we are. So in her mind, she's looking at it in the long run. Like, in the long run, if I stay with Taylor because of his family background, because of the money his family has, because I'm going to benefit more, so it's going to be in my favor, like a lot of people are doing even in this political climate, if you see what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
that's what Clark is doing when she looks at Taylor. What she doesn't understand is this is not going to bode well for her
Mhm.
at all. Let's dive into the next thing. So, um, like I said, there's a hidden layer of intensity with him, and Clark also has a hidden layer of intensity, but hers is different from his. And so it comes out as him playing passive aggressive games, a lot of keeping secrets, a lot of pulling the strings behind the scenes type stuff is what he's good at. Um, and then his sun, moon, and Mars, which is all in Gemini, is opposite Pluto, which has to do with control and explosiveness and intensity. So, how do you see that? So you're gonna see that as people being drawn to him. He draws people in with his playful, dopey. I'm just, a young guy who hasn't gotten it all together. Like, I want to be the best for Clark. Help me, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
help me to woo her. Help me plan a date. He knows how to plan a date. He's not dumb.
Y'all, is that not what was happening with Ace and when it came to Alandria and then what he was? Y'all saw this in the villa, right?
Hmm.
The things we've been saying. Yeah. Okay. Keep going, Glow.
No, and one thing my dad taught me is you're in the best position when people think you're the stupidest person in the room. And so he and my dad is a Gemini, and he does this very well. He's okay with men thinking that, okay, I'm gonna take him under my wing, I'm gonna help him out, even though and in reality he's the one manipulating you the whole time. And so, with him having Pluto in Sag opposite his Gemini cluster, it's very volatile. So, there's an intensity and obsession and a hidden rage there beneath a playful exterior. So, what that looks like is on the paper is his moon is opposite Pluto, so it shows emotional extremes. One minute he's all in, the next minute he's cold, detached, controlling, and especially when he feels vulnerable, or if he feels like he's exposed, or in a place where he's not ready to have attention be on certain things that he's not ready to talk about. And that's why you saw him freeze when. Oh, go ahead, please interrupt me,
Because
please.
y'all, this is what we talked about, right? With again the stand on business challenge. When he was no longer in control, Alandria was forcing him. You can no longer have a side conversation with Clark and then a side conversation with me. You got to have this conversation right here, right now. You saw him become embarrassed. You saw him flip. You saw him then try to spin the story after they got out of that room, right? After they got out of the challenge to the men. Oh, she's acting like this. She's acting like that. He tried to, again, re-ingratiate and endear himself to the men by acting like she was crazy to have even brought it up. But y'all watched him do that. You watched him when he was under pressure show
Mm-hmm.
up and it's like, how can I control the narrative? How can I, right? You saw him do that in real time.
Yes. And this is because it's when he it's like watching an animal that feels cornered. And what are they going to do? They're going to freeze first. They're going to assess the situation quickly, and then they're going to strike.
Y'all want me to choose? I picked Clark, right? That was his freeze moment. Y'all want, everybody wants me to choose? And then he made a response. He gave an initial response, right? And that's only because who knows what he would have said had he not felt embarrassed by Alandria, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
that was his freeze moment, and that was his instinctive. Then this is what I'm gonna say.
Yep. And so that's what happened with that. And then he also has this demeanor about him where um, hmm, his Mars opposite Pluto also creates power struggles, a temper that simmers under the surface. And then there's also this sexual competitiveness. Um, so um, I have not pulled his chart against Nick's to talk about how he what the dynamic is between them, but it's clear what the dynamic is between them when he's talking about Nick, right? And then also how everything played out and how he traumatized both Nick and Alandria, because we can't say he traumatized Alandria without saying he traumatized Nick as well, because he did. Um, and I feel like he, because of the way his chart is screaming the alleged potential for bi-curiousness, that he competes with women a lot, and there is that competitiveness. Hi, Lou. There's that competitiveness with who he deems to be an adversary in a game that he's playing.
Mhm.
And then there's a potential to burn everything down if it's not going the way he wants it to go. And when your Gemini gets upset, too upset, I'll flip all this ish over. Oh. Like,
He's his mother and father's son. That is very.
yeah, and then you have to be like, wait, come back over here, come back, and he's swinging and legs are flailing. And, yeah, so you have to talk them down from the ledge. He at this point in his age, he's better, but when he was younger, he had issues.
Mhm.
I can see that. Um, and then he has his Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction with his Taurus. So on paper, he looks stable. He looks disciplined. He has the ability, and he looks like he has the ability to handle money and resources. But he also has Uranus squaring both those things. So it destabilizes the whole thing. Uranus itself is a very unstable planet. Uranus is a disruptive planet. Everything about Uranus is different from the other planets. I mean, the planet is laying on its side, for goodness sakes. There's nothing we can, do about that. Um, and so he and there's this war within himself. So he wants to have that, because he has that Taurus placement in his eighth house. He wants to have the security. He wants to have the relationship where the love is soft, and he's the doting man, and he's that man that provides. He's that man that comes from legacy, and he's that man that has the bloodline and the family name backing and the status, and then he's an upright, upstanding citizen in the public eye, and he's got the perfect family and the perfect life. But behind all of that, too, because of how the aspects are in conjunction to an opposition with Saturn and Uranus, he sabotages it as he gets closer to it. He will purposefully ruin it himself because it's not exciting enough.
Wow.
And because it's not chaotic enough. He wants loyalty, but struggles to be consistent in loyalty himself.
Hmm.
So he's somebody who likes stimulation, mental stimulation, and this can eventually lead to other types of activities surrounding substances, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so he's someone that wants loyalty but can't be consistent in providing or maintaining that or sustaining that dynamic. And he often can attract chaotic on again, off again situations around intimacy, finances, or power. And so he's always gonna set up the stage to make the woman feel comfortable and be like, yeah, I'm setting it up so where you feel comfortable. But then in a month's time or 2 months' time or 3 months' time, something is going to come up where he did something to disrupt it. And he's going to be the one to do something to disrupt it. Because, yeah. Oh, thank you, Fontaine. So there's that. Um, Before I go into the next thing, what insights do you have in regards to anything that I've said thus far?
We're not talking about real quick. We're not talking about Ashar. We're talking about Taylor. Glow is reading Taylor's chart, and we're comparing it to like some of the things that I have analyzed as a marriage and family therapist and things that I've noticed about his behaviors. Somebody else had asked the question. Oh yeah, you double tap the screen in order to like it. Thank y'all for sending gifts to both me and my panelist Glow. Thank you so much, Glow, for choosing to take time to share with us today. So I will say, like, so much of what you said like resonates very deeply. Something that we've talked about in my lives before as well is how Taylor uses his wealth almost as a weapon, um, and how he almost thinks that this provides him like a cover of sorts, right? And so how he believes that he can then engage in any sorts of behaviors that he chooses because he has a level of privilege. And so we've talked a little bit about like Black elitism, how that shows up, how Clark sort of fits this box of what he needs a wife to be in order to be acceptable. I've talked about like, again, I'm like, I'm not going to say the man is anything when it comes to sexuality, but I would not be shocked for a second based on what I've seen from him if he does not like Black women. I would not be shocked if he did not like Black women, or if he did not like women, like if he was not actually only sexually attracted to women, but because he lives in Oklahoma, because he comes from a bit like Black royalty in a sense, right? Like there is no space for him to really show up as his full self. And so then what we see as a result is this sort of like resentment toward the women that he's in a relationship with that makes him show up how he is.
Yes. So, okay. Somebody said he's a colorist for sure. You guys are wild. Okay. Let's get into it, you guys. So the next thing that I saw that was a red flag. I had a list of red flags, you guys. It's crazy. So the next thing that I saw that was a red flag with Taylor was that his Mercury is in Cancer in conjunct his midheaven. Um, but it's also square his ascendant, and it's in like a quincux like situation with Neptune. You're not going to understand anything that I'm saying, but I'm going to explain it to you. Mercury in Cancer can be emotionally intelligent, but Mercury doesn't always do well in Cancer. It's also subjected to being defensive, moody in communication, and things like that, as well as being subjective. Um, with his Mercury being in conjunction with his midheaven, his public persona is shaped by how he speaks. But since it's square the ascendant, there's a disconnect between the way he projects himself and the way people actually experience him. So this is one of those things where he does better if he just keeps his mouth closed, because when he talks, it can come off harsher. It can come off more sinister than what he intends. So he needs to, if he's going to be a model, he needs to just focus on taking photos. If he's going to be on TikTok, he needs to focus on if he needs to focus on doing dances and not talking. He needs to focus on, if he's going to be doing like a day in the life, he might need to have somebody with a different placement, like a Mercury in Taurus, do the voiceover, not him.
Okay, so Jules, that's exactly what I was going to say. So something I've also talked about is how he will mask a lot of his cruelty and humor as a
Yes.
way to make it seem less cruel, right? Maybe you're just not liked. He told Clark in the villa, maybe you just stink, and that's why like the bugs were coming around, right?
Yes.
He says a lot of things that are like, that's actually cruel, but because, oh, we're ha 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 about it, then it must not actually be mean.
Well, that's what he thinks, but the miscalculation is every time he opens his mouth, even when he thinks he's not, he's hiding it in jokes, and he's hiding it with humor. It actually is being taken as the way he is as the opposite of what he's intending for it to be taken as. And he doesn't realize that because he thinks he's being cunning, and that's not the case, actually.
Yeah,
So,
he always has that little kind of smirk.
yes.
I feel like Clark actually does buy some of it, even though I think somewhere in her body she feels a disruption because I watched the way she reacts to some of the things he says. But a lot of people, unfortunately, the young people, they're like, it's just a joke. You know, he's just being playful. And I think that just has to do with like a lack of discernment and like youth.
Yes, and the thing too with Clark is the reason this is a less Clark, they're not gonna last, but he's gonna traumatize her before she goes.
Yeah,
And that's unfortunate for her.
yeah.
But it's when you look at their charts, Clark has abandonment issues. Clark has self-worth issues. So those that thing that I was talking, that self-love thing, most Capricorn women have it. Clark has it big time. And again, she's seeking a life that Taylor's not going to be able to give her because one, he's the youngest son, so his ranking isn't where she thinks it is. She'd be better off dating an older son if she wants what she wants, or an only son, or something like that. And so there's that, and she's going to realize that. But with her abandonment issues, she makes a lot of excuses for men, like Taylor, and she has a hard time when she's presented with a man of proper standing to actually accept that for what it is. And so she'll overlook him because she doesn't, subconsciously, she, even though she knows she deserves it, she doesn't believe she deserves it. um Go
And
ahead.
I want to just say, so to your point and what people are saying in the chat, right? Um, people are, so the way that I perceive it is Clark feels like Taylor is the prize, right? And a lot of the language used in the villa about them, come on, my reaction to Clark's dream date answer, oh, he already did it. It was the picnic in the villa. Girl, if you don't get that bar out of fucking hell, right? Just the
Thank you.
standards are so goddamn low. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
she really perceives him as the prize. There was definitely language in the villa where it was like, oh, we're in a triangle, right? Oh, it's Alandria, it's Taylor, and it's me. And I believe that that language came from Taylor because Alandria never used that language, but Taylor and Clark used it a lot to describe their dynamic. And I truly believe that he was setting her up to feel like it's the prize if I pick you because I am the prize, right? And so now Clark has allowed herself to be put into a position. And I know people are like, she's a behavioral specialist, she has a degree in psychology. No shade to people in my field, but a lot of us go into the field because we have fucking trauma and shit that we need to work through.
Yes.
And we wish that somebody had showed up for us, so we trying to show up for other people, right? But she
Yes.
also only has a bachelor's degree, right? So like she hasn't really done the deep digging yet. You know what I mean? And so
Correct.
she definitely is treating him like he is the prize, and it is going to. And I said before on my video about like what I thought was going to happen with the couples that I do believe that they could have like a long future in order to prove to the public that there's something that we're saying they're not, but that he is definitely going to be her lesson. She's going to come out the other side with in regard to him. He will be part of her testimony.
Yes.
That's how I
Unfortunately.
perceive him.
No, I agree with you 100%. And a part of that too is again, Capricorn women are raised up to want to be picked, want to be chosen. That's why they're taught to be the quintessential dream girl, meaning she's gonna be a partner, a partner meaning she's going to work alongside her man, but then she's also going to look good in a dress and make him look good. Anything to help the man elevate his social status. That's what the Capricorn woman a lot of times is raised to be. So when she's doing, and then what happens is when they get in relationships, they get cheated on often because, and then they look at it as they're always having to compete with other women. And Clark, that whole triangle thing, she's probably already been cheated on before. And so in her mind, she's always going to be a little bit prickly and always side eye other women. And she's always gonna be like, yeah, it's always these other bees wanting my man, never actually looking at the man as the problem until that frontal lobe fully develops and she realized it was never the other women, but even though they had their own character flaws, the issue was never them because they could, okay, so they did what they did, but they go on in their lives. At the end of the day, I'm still stuck in a relationship with this bozo. So the problem here is the person that I'm in the relationship with, not, you know, not the women that he's manipulating and pitting against me, or the women that themselves are with him because they want to be in proximity to the social value that they think I have. And that's the thing with her. She's gonna realize too that she's the prize and not him. But right now she's being manipulated into that, and it's easy to do with Capricorn girls. And so it's very easy to do. It's the easiest thing to do with a Capricorn woman, and there's not a lot of easy things you can do with a Capricorn woman, but that's one of them.
Fontaine, to your point, I think they will end badly, but she will still protect his image. That's exactly what I said, is that I don't think that we'll hear about like the details of what happened. We'll just know that he's like something she had to overcome. And my prediction is that I don't predict that this will actually happen until much later, when she's like closer to 30, like
Yeah.
27-ish. Like I see this as like a later down the road type of thing.
Right. And what's going to happen when she hits 27 is she's going to enter her Saturn return. And that's
Okay.
where all those lessons are going to hit. Somebody said, well, that's why she's always hunched over. All Capricorns have bad posture. It's we all have bad posture. It's just what it is. But no, you can
I'm a Capricorn moon
oh,
rising. I'm a Capricorn rising.
I was about to say, if you're a Capricorn moon, that's we need to talk about that. We need to
I'm
unpack that.
I'm a Capricorn rising. I'm an Aquarius moon and a Pisces sun.
Oh, really?
We'll have to talk. We'll have to talk offline. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Uh,
But I'm willing to tell you.
Tell us, please.
It's on your horos.
Oh my gosh, this is fun. No, you guys I need this.
Okay, y'all are saying that Pepe has now unfollowed too. We knew Iris unfollowed. Pepe went and unfollowed too. It's confirmed. Hey, y'all, stop playing on my top. I know that y'all don't, but I can't wait to go back to that video and comment to them Pepe Iris people about, so was it a summer fling or no?
Oh, no, Tina. No.
That's that petty Pisces shit. You feel me?
Bro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. He's a Sun Sag, a Taurus moon, and a Leo rising.
Okay, you know what? He is giving Leo rising. I'm not gonna lie. He's very cat-like in his appearance for sure. And then the lion's mane. I know that hair is thick and a lot. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And he also gives like this very light up the room energy when he walks in, which that's very interesting that you two would be together. You know what? We need to talk about this. Let's.
Okay, let me tell you something crazy, Glow, and then I'm gonna let her get back to Taylor for y'all for real. Let me tell you something crazy. So Chris and I have we were both married before. Actually, both of our former spouses are deceased at this point. They died within a year of each other in the same exact month.
Okay,
But
I want to know where your Scorpio and Pluto placements are. Okay, we're gonna
okay,
talk about it later. Continue.
but Glow, so when I was married to my first husband, someone asked me, they were like, "Oh, what's your husband's name?" And I told them his name was Marcus, and they were like, "No, your husband's name is Chris." And I was like, "No, it's not. My name, his name. I know the man I'm married to. His name is Marcus." And then I ended up with this person right here next to me. So
That's hilarious. No, no, because with you having the Capricorn rising, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, this was probably fun for him to get to know you because you have resting bee face like crazy.
I do.
And he probably was like, why is she like that? We need a smile. Hi. Hello. I light up the room when I walk into it.
Okay, yeah. We gotta talk to.
That's beautiful. I love it. Okay, no, but I'm gonna say one more thing and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm glad that you got with him because the Taurus moon is the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
Oh, my best
Because
friends are all Tauruses. Yes.
yeah, yeah, because you're very detached when you get away, and with you having that Cap rising, you can flip the switch real quickly, and he doesn't let that face him at all, and I love that for you. Because we do need to be called out about this placement. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Would you like a blanket? Would you like some snacks?
On
Love
God,
it.
before my dad had even met him, Glow, just my dad hearing me talk about him, my dad was like, "Oh, I like him for you because he's a very like calm to your storm."
Yeah,
Because I
because
am about,
the minute you get mad, you're like a child who's packing their stuff, and I'm gonna run away
oh,
because nobody
I'm
won't let
that.
me do what I want to do, and I'm gonna leave that, and I'm gonna, and then he's like, okay, so you've packed your bags. Would you like some snacks in there? Okay, and you'll be back in an hour, right? Yeah, okay, love you, but I can see it. That's hilarious. Okay, let's get back into it. Hold on, y'all be reading Cap Risings, and I have hella. Yeah, Cap having Capricorn in your chart is not for the faint of heart. Also, same with Aquarius. Same with a lot of the darker planet signs. Scorpio is also not for the faint of heart. But let's get into it. So, um, with Taylor, he has tendencies to gaslight, and with him, it's it's two things. There's a duality here. Part of it is he has a natural talent to gaslight people. So it's something that he does naturally in his subconscious. He's been doing it since he was born. He probably gaslit in the womb. He probably was like, "No, you're not pregnant with me," and then popped out. And then popped out the womb brand new. I'm just saying, like, no. And so there's that, and then he also does it intentionally. So he does have a natural gift of gaslighting. He could use that for good, but he's not at this time. Um, thank you, Lou. What else? So his rising sign is a charm that masks chaos. Um, Normally with a man that is hold on, what was I looking at? His moon. With a man that is double Gemini, you would expect Taylor to be smaller in stature. But Taylor is not smaller in stature because his rising sign is in Libra. So that makes him very much a little bit taller, a little bit longer, a little bit leaner, very symmetrical in features, but then his features are very sharp because Gemini features tend to be very sharp. So there's all that going on
Not
with him.
scarecrow.
You know, that is exactly what it is giving, T. Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. It's literally giving that. Um, and so with that, he comes off as very polished and diplomatic and attractive. And like I said, before he opens his mouth and you see him from afar, you can idealize him into this guy of your dreams, the nice guy who's gonna take care of you and pamper you and all this stuff. But underneath it all, it's chaos. It's so chaotic because his Mercury is square his ascendant. His Neptune is trine his ascendant. It's easy for people to misread the reality of who he is. He can come up across and appear more stable and fair than he actually is, while underneath, all that's going on is a lot of Gemini chaos and Pluto intensity. And this persona doesn't match the reality. People may feel bamboozled or duped when the deeper side comes out, which is exactly what's going to happen with Clark if it's not already happening.
And it happened with the Landry, y'all. Y'all remember when they were sitting down and the Landry said, "Girl, be mindful to Clark because he can switch on you like that." She saw it much sooner than Clark got to see it because of the pressure cooker environment that they were in. Because Taylor and Clark are spending a lot of their time mostly developing their relationship outside of the villa, it might take longer for her to become aware of this or to have
Yes.
this.
So, yeah, let's see what people are saying before I get into the next part of it. Yes, and Alendria is a Gemini too. She is, but she's not chaotic Gemini. This man, when I tell you he has so many dark, we'll go into that later. Next, his Venus is opposite his Pluto. And his Venus is also in Gemini. So, um, yeah, that's no, but you have to understand before he could manipulate America Shine, Sunflower Shine, he had to manipulate the villa first. So he had to play the perfect boyfriend. And so we were seeing the conversations that he was having with Ace, but they were not privy to that. We were seeing the conversations he was having on the side, but they were not privy to that. They were only exposed to the persona that he was wanting them to have of him, because there's a particular perception he wanted them to have. With that being said, his Venus is opposite his Pluto, so this is where the power games and love play in. So there's this aspect is textbook for magnetic but destructive in relationships. It can manifest as attraction to intense, even toxic connections. And oh my God, I am so Clark needs, if she's gonna have a hell of a Saturn return. I feel bad for her. So he's gonna come off as someone who unconsciously plays with other people's hearts to test their devotion. And
Yeah.
so, what is that gonna look like? He might create fake scenarios to see how you act, or tell you that he saw you doing something that you actually weren't doing to see how you act. He Go ahead.
Okay, so y'all heard her talk about the gaslighting, right? Clark is 24 years old. And then I did see the other question about are there any good things? We can ask Willow to get to that too. So we heard her talk about the gaslighting, and then we're hearing her talk about the fake scenarios, right? He literally got on live and said, if I was to fart in your face, they would say I was trying to give you pink eye. And then what did he do later in that live, y'all? He farted in her face to see how she was going to react. He is constantly testing. Even when he's mushing her head in that live, okay? He's mushing her head and then he's looking to see
What she's gonna do.
is going to be. He is testing his limits, y'all.
Yep. Yep, he's testing to see how far he can go, what he can get away with, and what she's going to allow him to do behind closed doors based on what she's going to allow him to do in front of the cameras. And so this can play into a lot of very scary, dangerous things, meaning that, he's going to, put his hands on her behind closed doors, and then he's going to say, nobody believes you. Nobody's going to believe you. And that's another reason why he wants her to move to Oklahoma, because it's home court advantage.
Correct. Ron, you asked, why is everyone treating Clark like a victim? I'm going to speak as a clinician from this point. The victim, the person experiencing the abusive behaviors, is always the victim. Okay. The question is never, why does the person stay? The question is, why are you abusing, and what makes it hard for them to be able to leave? Okay. So she is the victim in their dynamic. If we're looking at it from a clinical perspective, she is the victim in their dynamic. Might she be primed to certain things because of her chart, because of her things that have happened in her life? Absolutely. And she is the person that is being victimized in their dynamic. Okay, Flo, please.
Okay, let's get into it. So, so he can manifest as, what was I saying? Toxic connections, someone who plays with people's hearts or tests their devotion. And, he's also with Gemini combined in all of that. This can look like someone who thrives on the romantic drama, love triangles, and testing boundaries.
What he did in the villa.
Yeah. So I'm just going off of the notes that I took when I was looking at his chart. Like, this man is all about testing boundaries. He's gonna create dynamics where there are love triangles, and God forbid you put him in a triangle, then he'll never live it. He'll never let you live it down, but he's gonna always minimize what he's done and his actions. And he's always going to be like, it wasn't like that. But even if it was, so he loves the thrill of the pursuit, but he struggles with healthy intimacy once things settle. So he will always be creating chaos.
Mm-hmm. And that might be why we're seeing him act some of the ways he's acting with her, right? Like, I don't think it's only that. I do think he was raised poorly as well. Because you can be predisposed to things, and like nature and nurture. It's both, right? And so I do think that he was allowed to get away with things, probably from a very early age, and to not have to be accountable around certain things. To someone's point here, I think it was Jules, like, he told Alandria when she was like, I'm the prize, he's like, maybe in your world, right? Like, he is accustomed to, this is why we saw him take Clark publicly, go shopping afterwards, right? He talks a lot about the money that he spends on her because he thinks that it makes it okay for him to do the things that he does. He gets to get away with it because he's always been made to believe that he could. He acted like he was so distraught about two women being into him. But if you got to watch those micro expressions, y'all.
Yes.
And he's the smirk every single time. He don't fucking mean it. He ain't sad about it, right? Which is why
No.
he's feeling like she was in a triangle.
No, he loves that he feels like they're fighting over him. He was very sorry. He was very excited about that. He was very low key excited about that. What else? Give me 1 second here, you guys. I have to do this or else I'm gonna forget. So bear with me.
No worries.
Oh
And
my
y'all, the
God.
fact that he's to Lowe's point, him wanting to create drama, he's not in the villa anymore where he can do that so easily between the women. And so now we're going to see, how does that manifest in the regular world? Oh, well, now, Clark, it's America against us. You understand? He's made all of us on the internet that are saying, whoa, 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 girl, something is wrong, something is up. Oh, look at them, they're against us. He's creating a narrative of, we need to align against them. We're the drama now. We're the drama as the country watching them, right? He did keep saying that, and then he had her saying that, right? And I think it's the fact that, and this is also another reason why Nick doesn't really need to pay him a whole lot of attention around certain things, because it's like that's what he wants. He wants that.
And the thing too,
we are his ops, Lady Lou.
so like Capricorn women are really smart, but in the early parts of their lives, as they're getting into love, they tend to be late bloomers, and this is where they're the dumbest. And I mean that as a Capricorn. And I there's no shame in my game, but we have to be honest about it. We're really dumb in love, and not because it's because we are learning later than others, because most of them grew up in strict households. So they just tend to be really not smart, really not, even though you have all the awareness in the world, there's just certain things you're just never going to be aware of when you believe you care for somebody and you believe that person cares for you. And so that's what's going on with Clark right now. So what else was I going to say about this man that I don't like, this creature? One of the other things that I noticed with him is like that led me to wanting to look at the childhood dynamics, and then his sexual energy was the restless physical sexual energy. Like he's easily bored, and you don't see that often unless you're dealing with a particular subset of individuals who are struggling with the truth of who and what they are, because they're trying to maintain appearances for what's expected versus the reality of what it is for them. So that duality. And so his emotions and actions, because he does have that in conjunct with his moon, are very fused. He's someone who reacts quickly, and he's very impulsive in his reactions. He did taper that a little bit in the villa. But if this was the real world and Alandria had did what he did when he said, I wanted to go off on Alandria, what he meant was, I wanted to swing. That's what he meant. That's what he meant. And one thing that I've noticed with Gemini moon, Gemini sun, Gemini rising, all, if you have a lot of Gemini placements, they don't have a problem with putting their hands on women. They don't see anything wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how I know, but all I have to say is I was raised in a household with male Geminis, and my dad is a male Gemini. And what I saw, the things I saw, that's all I have to say about that. He may push buttons and provoke fights to attract volatile dynamics, and he's not going to provoke fights with men. He will never provoke fights with men because they want to be respected by other men. But they are definitely not above initiating physical, altercations with women. Because one, they know they can win, and two, they do it because, again, it's the power dynamic thing with them.
Okay. Can I clock for y'all again? So again, this is why I know CJ had popped in here. I don't know if CJ is still in here, right? But one of my mutuals is like, I don't believe in astrology like that. I'm like, that's cool. But the stars, they were aligned a certain type of way when you were born. They do have an influence on your potential trajectory. And a lot of what Glow is saying, I've said to y'all from a clinical perspective, based on my training, right, about him. I told y'all that a lot of the reason why he moved how he did with the Landria in the Hamptons is because of him wanting to maintain proximity to Nick. It is about, and in some ways proximity to Alandria, because there is a level of social capital with being in a relationship with her that he is able to see at this point now that they're out of the villa, right? But he does a lot of things for the approval of the men around him more than he cares about. Like, and I told y'all, him remembering the tea orders, him doing the breakfast, all that shit was so that the men, I don't know if a lot of clinicians believe in astrology, but plenty of us do. But I will say that was for the men to be like, oh, he's such a good guy. He's a nice guy. A lot of that was about performing for the men more than it was about performing for the women. Right. And so I just need y'all to realize, right, that wherever you stand about it, understand that a lot of what Glow is telling y'all, just based on looking at his chart, is also things that I've been able to see just as a clinician looking at him. And his
Yes, and then keep in mind, I've not watched the show. So what I'm saying is all based off of what I'm seeing in his chart.
And
you guys are getting her insight based on what she's actually seen. I
Right.
haven't seen.
Right. And to Alandria's point, she knew that if Taylor left, the villa would have hated her, men included, right? They would have hated her. He was doing a lot of things for the approval of the men in that villa. He needs to maintain relationship with the men in that villa. That is the most important thing to him. It's the only reason why he's moving with the Landria post that Kiki interview, right? We know he said the crazy thing, but the Hamptons was post that interview. Now the way he's moving with her has been different because he is exactly K Camp working the room, right? Working the room.
Yes.
Even him choosing Clark, right? Maybe not for the approval of the men in the villa, but Clark fits a certain aesthetic in Black elitism. I've talked to y'all about this before. And
yes. We were talking about this last night too. Please speak on it.
She fits a certain aesthetic, right? That Alandria does not fit, albeit that Alandria is gorgeous. Clark fits a certain aesthetic, and I say that as a light-skinned Black woman. I know that that is real, right? She's a religious woman. She's lighter skinned. She got her beautiful little bust down in, right? She is more meek and more quiet, right? All of that fits a narrative in Black elitism that is to be desired as the perfect wife, right? She is wife material in that way. And so even him picking Clark is about the approval of the people around him. But because I don't think he actually likes women, even if he is attracted to them, he doesn't like them. He actually still resents her and resents that he has to be with her. I'm just saying, y'all. All of it is about, a lot of it is about the approval of the men around him. So that makes a ton of sense, Glow.
If he found out that the women in the villa didn't like him, he wouldn't care. But he would be sliding down a wall if he found out that Nick had Nick's opinion of him had soured, that Ace thought the worst of him. He would not be able to sit with that. And then on top of that too, the way that he is really, I don't have a problem with male fraternities. I don't. I do have a problem with the flock-like behavior of it. There's a lack of individual thought within it, and then there's always a big brother approval that is sought, and Taylor lives with that. He thrives in that. He likes that. He wants to be approved of by other men. And he's also the youngest child, and he has older brothers. So it would make sense that disappointing men is more important to him than disappointing women.
Yeah. To Lou's point, hive mind, right? Again, so he is more concerned. It's going to be so interesting to watch them play out over time, right? Because the reality is, to your point, Ebony, men can be male-centered as well. That's not only a phenomenon that happens with women.
But it makes sense for them to be male-centered because, well, it does. It's the women being male-centered that gets me because, girl, what are we doing? Anywho, um, with that being said, were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just reading
With
the
that
book.
being said, that's when I dived into his preferences, his alleged preferences, and what he actually likes, and that's when I saw that there's a lot of bicurious fluid indicators in his chart, which makes me realize that okay, he might he might like being around female energy for a little bit, but you know, he's very he's very into both. And allegedly, all of this is alleged. Let's go through the disclaimer. All of this is alleged. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, this is all for entertainment purposes. Who the hell am I, right? Yeah. At this point, I have a aluminum foil hat on and I talk to aliens. Let's go.
But
Okay.
girl, I feel the same way. So finish because I got thoughts too. So yes, yes, I agree.
So, so with that being said, um, So with that being said, Gemini is very mutable and he has Gemini all over his chart. And normally somebody having Gemini all over their chart doesn't really mean, it could mean that they're really good communicators. It could mean that they're really smart. Like Gemini, because again, it's one of the very smarter signs. It could mean they're really smart. It could mean that they might have a temper. But when somebody, why is this binging on my computer? Focus. Do not disturb. Sorry. Anywho, looking at his chart, he's got a lot of mutable air in his Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, all in Gemini. And then on top of that too, that gives, with it being in Venus and Mars, that gives his attraction is flexible, curious, and really boxed into one type. And then when you look at him, he also gives I think Taylor is androgynous. I don't care what anybody say. When I look at Taylor, I see an androgynous man. I don't see a cowboy. There's a photo of him on his Instagram. It's a painting. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've been to his Instagram, you've seen the painting. It's a painting of him on a horse. Are you going to his paint? Are you going to his Instagram?
Yes, go ahead.
Please. It's right there. Not he looked like a stud. Aisha. It's a painting of him on a horse, back arched. You'll see it.
Okay.
Let me know when you see it.
Okay. I'm about to bring it up. I'm about to bring it
When I saw that, I saw everything I needed to see.
up. Woo. Can I just
I've
say,
only seen, and as somebody who's been in equestrian for sports for a very long time, I've never seen men pose like that. I've only seen the girls pose like that. So when I saw that, I was like, interesting.
is it an older post? I just want to
Yes,
ask.
but you'll see it. It's not that old. He doesn't have a lot on his page, so you'll see it. It's right there. You'll see it. It's like
And he's sitting on a horse.
on a horse. It's a painting. It's like a photo of a painting. Swear to God, I kid you not. Maybe it is a little bit older.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll find it.
I'll say this too, y'all, while we're looking for this painting. Okay, so
Oh, okay. I know what's going on. Hold
what
on,
is
I
it?
will find it and I will tell you where it's at because
Okay.
I will find it. I'm looking for it right now. Hold on.
So I've
It's
said to y'all, I've said to y'all before that I perceive Taylor as being more interested in white women. And then that I didn't. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for coming in. It's December 10th on his page. I said that, I perceive him as being into white women more. And part of what I talked about with that is I was like, I also watched this other creator talk about that a little bit more, how white women have access to femininity in a way that Black women do not, right? And what that means is white women often will give, I'm going to use Black men because Taylor is a Black man. But it gives Black men an ability to be a little bit more fluid in their masculinity
Mhm.
because they don't have to worry about their masculinity being measured against their woman, because white women have access to womanhood in the United States in a way that Black women do not. Black women, you really have to show up and like in the macho, right? The myth of the macho, right? That we know is historically present in the United States, right? And so there's a level of masculinity that has to perform as a black man with a black woman. And so my thinking is that he prefers to be with a white woman because she would allow for a little bit more fluidity in his masculinity that he's able to access when he is with a black woman. But because he comes from black elitism, and I think that there's a certain like expectation, I think that that is what makes him have to show up in the way he does. And so because he is with black women, I could also see why that might make him feel like, you know, we're reading it as like, you know, he maybe wants to be with men. And I do think that there is like maybe some bi curiosity, at least some curiosity sexually, if nothing else, but he can't access it in the same way. And again, that also builds to that resentment.
Okay, so if you go 12 rows down,
Okay, hold on.
it's the third one. So it's going to be a photo of him with two white. So there's going to be a row with a photo of him, two white dudes sitting in the chair, him with a black dude in the balcony doorway.
Okay. Oh, I
And
see
then
it.
tell me that ain't some.
Wow, that's crazy.
As soon as you said it, I said, I see it. Hold on, let me show it to y'all. Hold on.
That's crazy.
Let me.
When I saw that, I said, "What in the world?"
I'm screaming. Hold on. Let me turn my camera.
The way your husband was like, "Nah, sir." I love us. I love us so much. You guys are great. This is so fun.
No way, my boy.
Y'all, I'm telling y'all, he wants to play with his masculinity a lot more than he feels like he can because of the way this culture treats black men in relationship to black women, right? And so I think that if he could have it his way without any expectations, I think he'd be with a white woman, or he would be a little bit more fluid with being with black women and maybe like men as well. I think he would play with his masculinity a lot more.
Yeah. Somebody said he was a fairy.
That is crazy.
Oh my God. And somebody said it's very grinder coded. It is. So with that being said, and then if you look at Taylor's body and his body composition, it's giving very duality. It's giving fluid too. I feel like on the low, Taylor likes his build the way it is. And what I mean by that is, you notice when you look at if you look at the men that are in country, that are country men, the white guys, the black guys, the Latino men, they have a particular build that they have. And I'm not saying that it's super bulky. It's a strong build. Taylor doesn't have a strong build for a country boy. His build, if you look at his legs are not toned. If you look at his any shirtless photos of him, he does not have, he's thin, but if you look at his legs are, you know, skinny. It's giving
like he's working. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. It's if look at Ace and look at okay, his arms are long and skinny. It's kind of like if you notice, like there's a build that certain men have before they transition. Some of them, like the ones that are real T when they transition, the ones that have the best transition outcome. There's a particular build they have. And Taylor has that build. And he could easily be pretty as a girl, as a woman, as he would be as a nice looking young man.
True. Yeah. Now y'all said he got the body of a 10-year-old boy. Stop
it, you guys. This is uncalled for behavior.
Y'all let's see.
Not somebody saying the dolls. Yes, Emma. Yes.
But no, you're right. Like so y'all know that a lot of the clientele that I work with are trans community, queer community, and there is a particular build that does look a different type of way when they transition versus other builds, right? It is true. He does have a build and a softness to a playfulness to his face that if he were to be someone that ever did that, you know, he would fit that build. That is true. That is
And
true.
then if you really think about it, when you look at the girls that transition that are kind of built like Taylor as men, and then they transition, they have the build that Alandria has right now.
You think he's jelly?
I know he is
Oh, okay.
because that's what Nick likes.
Clock it. I hear that.
So, and I'm not saying that Nick likes the T girls. I'm just saying Alandria's
We're not,
body is
we're
very.
not saying that that Tay wants to transition. We're saying that because of the way he wants to play with his masculinity and his sexuality, that it could be contributing to feelings of that. Also, could be part of the jealousy with Elandria.
That, and then on top of that too, oh, there's so much going on there. But then on top of that too, what Taylor did to Alandria and Nick in the villa is similar to what, if you've ever watched A Fatal Attraction, or if you've ever watched a movie where you're looking at a young adult romance story, or where they're in college and the girl befriends the girl that the guy she likes, and then so that way she can, one, try to see how she can emulate her, but two, try to get in the middle of any possibilities. So him knowing that his friend Nick came to him and said, I really like Alandria.
I'm attracted to
And he
her. He
turned,
told him that every week. That just came out. He
yes,
told him that every week.
yes. And then he turns around and he does everything in his power to get between them. And the only way he knew he could do that was to manipulate the fact that Alandria wanted a particular type of man.
Mm.
And then so he did that, not and he did that, not only doing that in the way that, he maintained his friendship with Nick, but at the same time he was doing everything in his power to monitor Alandria, but also push her out of the villa. So that way Nick could stay in the villa, but Alandria could be gone. Because he would rather Nick be with somebody that looks more like Nick. So somebody that looks like a Huda, somebody that looks like an Iris, somebody that looks like, then Nick be with Alandria, because in his mind, that is competition. That is competition in a way that he doesn't see white women as competition,
Yeah.
because white women are not Nick's type. So then if you think about it, how some gay men are, because I had a best friend who was gay when I was little. They would rather you not be with your type and be with somebody you're not happy with. So then the next thing they do is, you're not happy with her. Are you happy with her? You're not happy with her.
Mm.
Like that conversation, that girl, and that conversation that man eaters have. I don't know if you know, but a lot of Capricorn girls grow up being taught to have this conversation where it's not even are you happy, it's who's taking care of you? What did she make for you today? Or what is your favorite food? Is she cooking your favorite food? Do you like it? Stuff like that. So, and men are not, and I don't think men are dumb, but they're not bright sometimes. And they will start talking when you make them think you care about them. All you have to do is make a man think you care, and he'll tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I felt like that was gonna be the next phase once he got Alandria out of the picture. Nick was gonna be partnered with somebody that pale skinned, and then he was then gonna be like, oh, I know you're not happy with them, bro. It's okay, bro. It's that bro thing. But in reality, he's saying boo, boo, boo. Like, it's okay, boo. It's I'm still here, Clark Kent. Whatever. Things like that.
Yeah.
How am I wrong? I'm a whole Capricorn. How am I wrong?
I
You
think
just hurt, bees.
I
That's
think too.
exactly
I
what it
think
is.
too, y'all, like oh, this is it's so complex, right? So y'all have
Yes.
mentioned a couple of things. Number one, when Jalen came into the villa, he was explicit about, like, that's her type, bro, like da 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 da, right? I also want us to I want us to remember too, right, that like Taylor stood up for all the non-black bombshells. Like, he was interested in he wanted, well, not Bella wasn't a bombshell, but like he was interested in Bella, he was interested in Sierra, you know what I mean? And then Nick, yes, Nick dated white women outside of the villa, as far as we all know, but in the villa he never went after any of the white women that we saw. We only saw him interested in Bella, Sierra, Ola, and Andreina. That's the only women. And then at some point, he and Clark were hooked up. Oh well, Huda too. I don't even remember that. That must have been very brief. Um,
Bella was into Taylor, and she said she wouldn't. She would have went for him had she stayed. Yep, that's crazy. Yeah. So those are the things that I'm seeing. But with that being said, when I saw that image, I did want to dive into his sexuality, and I did, and that's why I was like, there's definitely flexibility, curiousness there, fluidity there.
yeah,
He's not boxed in by one type.
yeah.
He's definitely into trying it and seeing it. I can see that he might have had some experiences where he experimented behind closed doors. Um, in his chart, his Venus is opposite Pluto, so that means that he's very into like secret exploration, attraction to power dynamics. And then when somebody is attracted to power dynamics, there's normally some tie to some kind of trauma sometimes.
Mm,
Because and 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 there's a particular type of power dynamic that I like to that I normally see with that. It's not always like, some girls like to play, okay, I'm in control now. But,
mm,
that's a different type of power dynamic. But what I see was like, he has like desires that are considered a little bit off script, a little bit darker, a little bit taboo, secret explorations. So he might show he has like allegedly an underlying you know intensity and appetite for intensity that doesn't always align with what is considered socially acceptable per his background. And he's from Oklahoma, and it's Midwest. I'm in Kansas. They are all what they are over there,
mhm,
over here. So he has a deep attraction to what feels forbidden or different.
mhm,
He's really into that. Also, his Mars is in Gemini, and Mars deals with your libido, your sexual drive, what you're attracted to, things like that. What gets your blood boiling, what gets you hot is what Mars is into. So, and then Pluto has to do with what you might obsess about. So this aspect can create an urge to push limits, test boundaries, and dive into extremes, which he does. I feel like he might do behind closed doors on what he consumes as far as media or, um, you know, video, things like that. And then maybe even different apps he frequents. He might online be having conversations with. And I have this underlying thing where through the years, it may be after he breaks up with Clark, there might be some things that come out of him having conversations with particular subset of men, allegedly. Okay. Okay. And then on top of that, with him having Gemini and Mars, it's a very restless energy. So it's like very experimental, very curious. They are thrill seekers when it comes to desire and heat and things like that. So he feels the need to explore edges sexually. So he's not limited to one gender expression. He might want to be, but he's not.
yeah.
He's just not, and that's okay. But he okay with it? That's the question. And I don't think he is right now. I think as he gets older, he will be. But right now, it's not that. And you have to look at one, the organizations he's tied to, his family background, where he grew up, what's socially acceptable there, what is considered appropriate for a man in the dynamics that he grew up, things like that. And so he reads as very, and then on top of that too, when you look at him, he's a very soft masculine.
Mhm,
He's not a hard dude.
yeah.
Ace will fold him like nothing. And I'm
Mhm,
not saying Ace is I'm not saying Ace isn't scary. I'm just saying for him to be, Ace, I feel like Ace is even more masculine than Nick sometimes.
mhm,
Just Ace's energy is very, you know,
yeah.
and so there's that. And I think the reason that he's drawn to Nick is because Nick has a very um very seductive siren like energy to him. And most men that are Piscean or have like this seductive siren-like energy, which can come off as sometimes soft masculine as well, but it's not. Siren male energy is the most craziest. It's like fire male energy. You don't want that unless you're ready for that. And shout out to Alandria, girl. We're praying for you. You know, shout out to you, girl. Whatever. Next.
Yeah, I don't know if I think Ace is aggressive as much as I think he just has a very strong energy and personality, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know that I
I
think
don't think he's aggressive either. I agree with you. What I'm saying is Ace is very solid. Ace has a very he's very staunch in who he is. He stands in who he is. He's willing to stand by himself. He has no problem telling people where he stands.
Yep.
And he is not one to be easily swayed.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that he's stubborn. I'm just saying that he's gonna look at the situation as you would like a man to do and make a decision and stick to it. He's not a people pleaser. Nick sometimes come off as a people pleaser. If Ace doesn't like you and he doesn't like what you did to his woman, you're never going to see him again, even if he lives next door to you. That's facts.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that. But then like I said, when I dived into it, like he's got a very soft masculine vibe to him, and he attracts people of all genders. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are men that like him because they like men and they think he's very attractive. And then there are women that like him too because some women do like a softer masculine vibe, especially the girls that like the guys that wear nail polish. They might like him too because he gives off the nail polish vibe. I'm not saying he would wear it, but I'm saying he would look good in it.
We're
Like,
talking about Taylor in this part. Am I a people
yeah.
please? No.
Yeah, no. No, she's not. No, nah, that ain't her. It might look like it, but
It's a kid.
no,
It's a kid. No.
no, she's a parent. She can't be. Um, and so there's that. And then on to also, like I said, like as far as like his primary romantic social expression is that, yeah, in public, he definitely wants to be seen as a ladies' man. He wants to be seen as the guy that the girls want. But behind closed doors, he does have that secondary attraction. And in a more, private, experimental, taboo context, he does have that attraction. So he might present as straight, but then there might be times where, he, privately might, be a particular way with the men. So yeah, that's what I saw, and then I broke that down even more. But yeah, that's what I saw. He doesn't give lady not the bony knees. You guys stop. Um, so what questions do you have in regards to that before I dive into the darker aspects of it, his trauma?
Do y'all have any questions about that? I mean, it all tracks for me. I mean, we don't know what Pepe did. I don't really care what Pepe did. I heard that they are broken up. I'm so just shocked.
Were
I can't believe it at all. Oh my gosh, y'all. How could this
Tina,
possibly have happened?
good question. Were you there what part of my life did you leave on?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? I left, I think, after you were like getting I think you were done talking about Clark by the time I left.
Okay, so we did a reading last night on Clark and Pepe.
Did you?
When I told you we were in that live crying, we were in that live crying because
y'all.
they have soulmate written all over their chart.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll have to talk about that another time.
So yeah, we were crying. I was upset. I was literally in shambles.
That's crazy. Y'all, I
Yeah.
will say too about what Glow has said so far about like this part of it, right? Again, y'all, I said that I do believe that he is definitely he wants to be able to be more fluid in his masculinity. I think that what holds him back is the expectations of the culture that he is growing up in, being from the Midwest. Again, Black royalty, Black elitism is a thing, y'all. And I do think that contributes to the way that we see him show up in relationship to women. because there is a resentment there about the fact that
Yes.
he can't live in the way that he wants to, and he takes it out on them because they are the personification of his family expectations that limit him and box him in. And I think that that frustrates him.
Yes, and yeah, he feels very boxed in. He feels very trapped sometimes.
Yeah.
And Gemini placements don't like that. They want to be able to explore. They want to be able to bounce from one. They're very mutable. Even in their thoughts are scattered. They want to be able to bounce from one idea to the next, one concept to the next. And the fact that he feels like he can't do that is very frustrating for him. And he will take that on what's socially acceptable for him to be with. So he'll be with a woman and he might actually like the girl. He might not have anything against the girl, but he resents her because of the fact that he has to be with her or he feels
Right.
like he has to. And so that's what I'm seeing with that. And then let me see.
And I'm gonna
As far
download that. These
as
are recorded. I'll download them. All of this will go onto my YouTube afterwards. Okay, go ahead, Glow.
wait. And then the other thing that I saw too was when I did pull up his chart because I was looking at one, the darkness in his the red flags, and then I was looking at the power dynamics and things like that. That made me then look to see if there was any trauma, childhood trauma that occurred. And there was a lot of things that were indicative of allegedly there being early trauma, possibly of a sexual nature.
Hmm.
And so yeah. And part of it that I saw was that when he did bring it up to his family, it looks like they were either because of the relationship that his family might have had with the person. And this might have happened when he was like school age. So, because it's in his third house, like very traumatic in his third house. Your third house rules your childhood, also your dynamic with siblings,
So yeah,
and things like that.
trigger warning, y'all. So if you need to take care of yourself by stepping out at this point in the live, that's okay.
Thank you, Lou.
Trigger
Yes,
reminder.
thank you. If you do need to step out, please do. Sorry. Um, and so me seeing that, it looks like that when it was brought up, he was it didn't say that his family didn't take care of him, but it doesn't show that they took care of him in the way that he wanted them to take care of him, that he might have wanted to feel protected, because of the way that Mercury is sitting. He he might have communicated what happened, and then Cancer equals family and home, so Mercury was sitting in Cancer, and then there were harsh aspects that showed difficulty speaking about the family related trauma, and then also distortion of memory. So it might have been so traumatic to him that he blocked it out. And um yeah,
Thank you, Ebony.
everyone thinking everything we're saying here is alleged. Yes. So there might have been trauma of him allegedly blocking it out, and then the way it might have mm, uh, the way that he might have been addressed. um his family probably was just like, they didn't want to rock the boat because of their relationship, because when you have a family who has a high social standing, they have relationships with other people, and in those dynamics, especially when you're looking at social hierarchies, social relationships are very important. And so yeah. Um yeah. And so there and he suffers a lot of pain around self-worth, love, or feeling used in connections. I can't say for how long it might have happened, but it might have happened and then stopped, and then he said something after the fact. And I don't know if you've ever there's a guy, he did like beach body. I don't know, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
um Hold on, I'll find his name, give me 1 second. um what is this
Emma,
man?
that video that you were talking about earlier, will you? Oh, they're saying it's Sean. Will you tag me
Yeah,
in that
Sean.
video? Oh,
Sean.
Sean T.
Sean
Yeah, yeah,
T, yeah.
yeah. Sean T.
Sean T from Beachbody.
Yeah.
was explaining how his dynamic with his stepfather was. And that's the vibe that I was getting based on how everything was going on. Like, it stopped after something happened between the two of them, and it never occurred again. And he felt hurt by that, even though he's the victim. So I feel like that might have triggered him bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something like that. And so I feel like Taylor has to really sit down and do the work, but I don't think he's ready to do the work, because when you're dealing with that work, it's like facing monsters.
Oh yeah.
And it's like facing monsters that you can't actually connect a punch to. And so that's tough work. That is dirty work. And you can't just do that with anybody. There's a particular type of professional that you have to go to. And I'm not talking about just, education wise. I'm talking about a professional that's faced certain demons and can really walk you through that, because they themselves know the demons or know that type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure you know. But yeah. Um, so that's what I see with Taylor. And that's like and then on top of that too, because of where his placements are, he has several markers for like someone who's experienced power imbalances, secrecy, and or boundary violations early on in life. And so that's why and then what do we notice with Taylor? Power imbalance. Always talking about the stuff he bought for Clark, how Clark needs to do things his way, and da 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 da, and da 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 da. The secrecy aspect, the triangles,
Yeah.
um, him being the prize, him, they can't all talk together in the same room. He talks to one, then he talks to the other, then he creates a narrative here, he creates a narrative there. And then on top of that, the boundary violations. He does that outright because, he's replaying it. And he's sometimes he may have internalized the intimacy to equal power games, and that's why there's this thing of like control through love and intimacy. And it's like he fears being powerless, but unconsciously recreates dynamics where he holds control,
Mm.
and that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the way he talks about money, I feel like maybe gifts were part of this dynamic, the
Yeah.
grooming aspect of it. So, okay, go ahead, please.
I talked
I
to
need the
people.
professional insight. I'm
No,
waiting for you to give me the professional insight.
you're clocking a lot of things. Like obviously I can't read all of that just from like what I'm seeing from him on the show, but I will say that like I've talked before about how Taylor is really one of the few people that we've seen from the island that love bombing would be an appropriate word to use in his dynamic with Clark. And so if this is something that he has experienced, this grooming through gift giving, through right, and this is very common in abuse dynamics, right? It makes sense that this is what he thinks he is supposed to do also with her in order to maintain the power, the control, because this is a narrative that I've written on him much younger in life. So that would make sense to me.
Yes. And then somebody says that Alandria said that she's not that material things don't work for her. Yeah, material things aren't going to work for a lot of air signs, but it does for earth signs. And so, earth signs do like a good material item. We do like a tangible.
And that's why he knew, right, that part of this would not work with her, right? That
Yep.
there would not be things that he wouldn't be able to do certain things with Alandria that he could potentially do with someone else that was impressed by those things, right?
And then there's the shadow side to Taylor too. Like, he guilt trips, he uses bringing up money as gifts or sacrifices as leverage. So if he does something that he doesn't want to do, or he does something where it's against his best interest for the person that he quote unquote loves, allegedly, he's going to use that as leverage. And that's why, he was using that as leverage, as, she better move over here after all this.
Or
But
in the live, right? Oh, I'll return all those bags. Like he uses them and I've said this to y'all before, he does not buy her things out of like the goodness of his heart or because it is an expression of love. It is a way to maintain control and to control the way that that relationship dynamic works. He needs her to be clear he is the one with the power.
And then somebody said his parents are already calling her daughter-in-law, and she needs to be careful. She needs to be careful about that. I don't trust his parents any further than I can throw him. So I don't trust his parents at all. Because for you to create this kind of demonic entity and he running around haunting everybody like this, I'm scared.
Because again, yes, it is nature, but it also is nurture. So back to Glow's point a while ago, right? About how he probably showed up as a kid, all that kicking and screaming and wanting to like, that flip switching. My son absolutely has that ability, has that capability, and he is parented in a way where he started having conversations when he was 4 years old about the way that he shows up in his masculinity, about the way that he engages with girls, about the way that he engages as a human. No, we're talking about Taylor. We're talking about Taylor. And so there is that the fact that he shows up this way, the fact that his niceness is simply a performance and not a manifestation of his character has to do with the way that he was raised. And so, yes, I agree. The parents everybody needs to sit down in a room with somebody.
They do. They do. I did pull up his chart. There's a lot. You can see a lot of indicators about somebody's parents just off of their chart alone without even seeing their parents' chart. And again, that dynamic has to do with their experience with their parents, not necessarily the reality of the parents themselves. So when I looked at Taylor's chart and I looked at the home life, and his parents, his mother and his father and things like that. I do see that he did grow up in a very strict or cold or heavy with responsibility household, which would make sense because most Midwest parents have that country vibe. They are a little bit more stoic. They are a little bit more, you need to get your chores done in the morning. They are a little bit more, if you've ever been raised on a farm, we have things to do. Everybody's got chores they need to get done. It's a lot of work if you don't have hands on deck. And so I can see that his parents, he grew up around a lot of rules and limitations, or a sense that he felt like it might have allegedly felt like love was conditional. And then also with his eighth house placements, it adds to like themes of secrecy. I don't think they were always had money like that. I think they had the land and the land was an asset, but I don't see it as like, and sometimes there might have been financial strain or power struggles within the house, or even trauma in the family line itself. I do see that as well. So he might have had a traditional mom, which it does show that his mom is quite traditional, who was maybe strict. And I feel like his mom is controlling, allegedly, as well as emotionally unavailable. And then his 10th house being in Cancer, I think his parents, or one of them, might have been public facing, so visible, nurturing, or the face of the family, but then behind closed doors was probably very moody or changeable, or there was a duality there. Like she's nice and she's everybody's mom in public and she's the mom figure in public, but then she's kind of mean and I don't like her that much type of vibe. And so why do you tell me?
Because I could believe that, and how I could easily believe that is how. I don't know anything about his family other than like, what we know about them being like black rodeo royalty, but like, again, like someone said in the chat, like that sort of uppity kind of like experience, right? And so where the appearance matters more than the actual, again, content, what is the actual relationship? That doesn't matter as much as what people think the relationship is. What the appearance matters more than anything. And again, if this is true, which I could believe it easily explains why he performs, why he thinks that, right? Because when he talks to us about him being a good guy, I was making everybody's tea. I was doing this, I did a lot of stuff for girls that y'all didn't see. He thinks that performing somehow is indicative of his character, rather than him realizing that we can see it's only a performance.
That
Because
and he
I say
thinks
to y'all all
and he
the time,
thinks
what
yep.
comes out when you think nobody is listening? What comes out when you think nobody is watching? That's who you are.
That, and he thinks labor is indicative of him being a good person because he grew up in a house where he had to do chores, and chores getting done is he would be rewarded for that versus actually being rewarded for being a good person, being a good son actually. So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When I dive into the placements that surround his mother, it does look like he had a very chatty, very talkative, witty, or engaging parent for a mother figure, but there it's conjunct his Mars. So she might have been very sharp tongued and very critical. She might have even had a quick temper. And sometimes when our mothers from our that look like us, from our culture get away, especially when they're correcting us. The things they say aren't nice.
Hmm.
So fix your face before I mother F and blah 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 blah. You know you mother F and blah blah blah. I'm sick and tired of this boy. Da 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 da. That kind of quick temper. She might have even been argumentative or impatient. So if she was correcting him, it was almost like a fight.
Mm.
And then on top of that, she also probably carries her own traumas, power struggles, or deep intensity. So this can show somebody who can be controlling, manipulative, or brought chaos into his emotional life. So she might have even had drama with other mothers, especially. Well, go ahead.
Okay, do y'all remember him? Listen, after the Stand on Business Challenge, the only woman that could talk to me like that is my mama or my
Ah,
wife.
ooh, yo, I remember that being said, and in my mind, okay. And then why would your mother be talking to you like that?
Because I would never with my kids. So again, this he already told us a little bit about what that dynamic was like. And the chart confirms it. Okay?
That's crazy. And mind you, again, I don't be watching. I don't watch. I don't
So y'all
watch.
just again, and y'all, thank you so much for getting us to over 100K. We'll hang for a bit longer. I want Glow to share as much as she wants to share, but y'all, he was telling us, and the chart confirms it, that this was in fact part of his dynamic with his mother. She's reading his chart, AV. She pulled up his chart.
Yeah, I'll post the live. I do have it somewhere. And then also, wow, scary. And then like I was saying earlier on too, he probably ties affection with conflict or volatility. So that's why he gets excited by the drama, and sometimes he'll create it and manufacture it because that's what he's used to. Because there's no reason for I've never seen no man, no healthy man likes drama. They because it's too much talking, and when a woman gets to I when I get to I'm telling you right now, they just look at you like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? You're literally 5'3". What do you have to be like? Why are you upset? like,
Yeah, Pia,
like
no healthy person likes drama. I like to watch it on my TV, not have it at my house.
literally, and for some they can't even watch it because it's like, oh my god. So yes, I feel it 100%. And then when we look at like his dynamic with his dad, for instance, because his son is also in Gemini, so he comes across as a dad who's probably very could have come off as immature, youthful, witty, or restless. He may have been inconsistent or non-committal in presence, and his dad probably was non-committal in the relationship. So that might have created some issues with the parenting as well with his mother. So he could be his dad could have been like charming, likable, socially engaging, but there's a dark side.
Mm.
A father figure who likely struggled with control, secrecy, or dominance. And so there might have been things he found out after the fact about his dad.
Wow.
And there might have been things he found out about his dynamic with his mother and his father, and how his dad treated his mom. And
Mm.
of course and then on top of that too, his dad was probably big on power plays. I bought you this, or his dad might have. Oh my god, it's taking me back. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story, but then I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna tell you this story. Uh, but his dad might have bought him gifts, and then when his dad got mad at him, his dad would destroy the gifts. So I play classical piano. I remember my dad bought me a piano, and it was a baby grand. And he got mad at me because my mom and him had gotten divorced, and I was very angry at my mom. Didn't talk to my mom for years, but then I was like 12, and she wanted to come back and talk, and I was like, okay, my mom. And then he got mad because I was always on. I was always been. It was always me and my dad, and he got mad. And when I finally agreed to go see my mom, he got so mad he destroyed the piano with his bare hands. Mind you, my dad has been doing martial arts, trained in classical martial arts, trained in the mountains in Asia for 20 plus years. So he could do what he did. So um when I tell, so they will buy you things and then destroy them, or they will buy you things and then um or then take it away, or they would, and then on top of that, once they do that, they go absent or silent, or like, and then be destructive pattern. So like he might have got a horse from his dad, or a livestock that he wanted, and he was so happy about it, so proud of it. And then because he did something that his dad didn't like, or he says something to his dad in a way, and his dad sold it off, or said, oh, and then he comes home one day, he's like, where's my horse? And his dad like, I got rid of it.
Right. Yeah.
So that would explain why he talks to Clark, and he talks about Clark the way he talks about Clark.
Yeah.
Yes, Jules. Yes. Yes. And then on top of that too, um, I'm seeing, Combo suggests like his parents carried major struggles around money. So they didn't have it like that when they first started. So they gained their respect and money, but they didn't have it like that because it's Saturn and Jupiter and Taurus. Taurus is normally indicates uh assets, physical things. So normally if you have your seventh house in Taurus, you're looking at a man who's coming to you with a lot of family money, a lot of family background, like he's got land, or he comes from an established legal family, or he comes from an established political family. So with Saturn being there as well as Jupiter being there, it means that the first half of it was rough. They didn't have it like that. And then the second half of it is when Jupiter comes in, and then the money started flowing in, the land started flowing in, the whatever they were working on started to work. But in the early times, they had issues around security, money, or intimacy struggles. And so I see that. And then Saturn restricts the with Jupiter there and Saturn there, there's like a restriction and expansion, so a push pull. So feast and famines, inconsistency, instability. One minute it's good, then there's bad seasons, which happens a lot in farming.
Yeah.
So with it being in the eighth house, it could point to family secrets, hidden debt. So Clark thinks she might be coming into some money, and it's a bunch of, you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then what did I say earlier with that Libra rising? It's like they come off as they have everything together, but underneath it all, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
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 And yeah. So I'm seeing that shared resources being a point of tension between the parents. So Clark might think she's coming into a bag, and in reality, she's coming into a situation that nobody wants.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be so interesting to watch play out, y'all. It's gonna be I mean, not that I'm saying these people exist for our entertainment, right? But they are public figures, right? And so the same way we are ingesting other public figures, we are ingesting them. And I do think that we are going to see some of these things play out in real time. And I've said to y'all before, and I'm going to stand by, I really do think that we know that Clark is a religious woman. I do believe that Taylor will at some point be a part of her testimony. I do believe that at some point it's going to be the lesson that she learned. You know what I mean? And so I can see that very easily. Her having a perception, because he puts on, right? We hear him. We did, Jen. I was very shocked when I found out that Pepe and Iris were finished. I could not believe it at all.
I'm not.
My heart fell into my ass.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding, Glow. I'm just kidding. They know I'm joking.
But no, there's that. And then, like I said, Well, and a lot of people are saying, and the thing too, before Clark reaches that testimony stage, there's going to be a lot of anger and resentment, not just towards Taylor, but towards Capricorns. Don't play about their freaking time. So she's going to be resentful about the time she allocated to this situation and the poor return on investment that she received and everything she had to go through only to realize she's going to be very livid. It's going to be rageful. And that's one thing that can make a Capricorn very, very physically scary. So there's that. And then on top of that too, Clark will become very resentful because she's gonna look at the other dynamics. And then she's gonna be like, why couldn't I? But she doesn't why didn't I get that? Why didn't I get the soft love? And then she's going to have to realize that there were lessons that she had to learn in order for her to get there. And part of the reason she didn't get it is because she didn't believe she could deserve it. And she didn't sit in that self-love. Because if she did, and I'm telling you right now, if Clark had clocked Taylor in the villa, the thing that she's good at doing is packing her bags and leaving. And she would have said, I did not sign up for this gutter snipery. And I'm leaving. And had she did that, I'm telling you, Pepe would have seen about her after the villa because Pepe likes that.
Mm.
He would have seen about her after the villa immediately. And then on top of that, they would have wanted her in the next season.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm gonna say that. I don't know what questions do we have. What more? We've been at it for 2 hours. That's crazy. I'm sorry, guys.
Good. No, don't be. I think this is good, Glow. Glow gave y'all a lot of really great information. If you have watched, I have 3 different videos about Taylor and Clark at this point. If you've watched them, y'all heard a bunch of stuff that Glow said. I said, so y'all can feel however you feel about the stars, et cetera, y'all. But she is seeing in his chart the same things that I am like as a professional. This is what I'm noticing in their behavior and in their dynamic. And this is what a lot of this potentially means. So y'all have got to, just give us some time. Somebody did ask, and Glow, I'll ask you this question. I do have a video about this. Somebody asked, do we think that, how long do I think Taylor and Clark will stay together? I have predicted, and I stand by this, that I very easily could see them getting married or at least getting engaged and having a long relationship, because I do think that at this point, Taylor has positioned the public as the enemy to Clark. And so there is a desire to prove something to the rest of us about what is happening between them. And so I could definitely see them making those moves. I don't want that for her, but I would not be shocked by it, especially because she's already out on her press tour, right, about him. We already saw the video from her about, we just want to be able to do this. We're tired of seeing y'all saying this, right? It's definitely giving. She is much more in that abuse cycle than people are wanting to name. And I could see them trying to perform a level of commitment to the rest of us. But I do think she will eventually come out. I do think that this will be part of her testimony. I do definitely feel like at some point we hear about, this sort of like overcoming and how she came to the other side. And it's not even that I think she doesn't want to be saved, y'all. I think that Clark is primed because of a lot of things, probably. I don't know enough about her family, but how I saw her behave, she's primed in a lot of ways to fold into this cycle. And I told y'all before, people that go into psychology, a lot of the times it's because we already got our own shit going on. And so if she has not dealt with any of that shit, then just because she got a psychology degree does not make us immune to falling into certain cycles in our romantic relationships. But Glow, please share your thoughts around that.
So, okay. Okay, so there's a way that we can determine. I'm pulling up their charts right now as we talk, so that way I can kind of give you a rough calculation of what I'm seeing. But while I'm doing that, I will let you know that she's already beginning to see him as as very unreliable. He might view her as controlling because of her Capricorn placements, but in reality, he's the controlling one and he's gaslighting. So there's that. I do see that there's going to be like a toxic entanglement energy between them. So a power struggle, that's passionate, but power struggle heavy connection between them. So I do see that they both have different struggles within themselves. So Taylor has the manipulation, control issues, and love thing. Together they have the intimacy mixed with walls and games thing. And then she has withholding affection and fear of rejection as something that she's dealing with. And I do see that she may have idealized him in the beginning and seen him as her dream guy, but then that changed, which Taylor helps people idealize him as the dream guy because Alandria did the same thing, right? And then also, they're very karmic. They have some very faith. There's lessons that he has to teach her. So they were meant to teach each other lessons. So he pushes her to soften, but she pushes him to grow up. So her leaving is going to be tough on him. I'm going to tell you that right now. As far as it just depends on how fast she learned her lessons. 0 to 6 months short story. If short story, 0 to 6 months. So it could be that long story, 12 months to max, 6 to 12 months to max.
Okay.
So within a year, I say a year. Long term, I don't see it being long term unless they decide to be super rebellious and try to make it work and try to force it to work. But I don't see that. I hope it doesn't happen because it's gonna be off and on again, on and off, on and off, on again, off again type of thing, where they keep coming back to each other because the attraction is strong, but the same issues will replay, and so she'll be repeating lessons until she freaking gets it.
Yeah.
So I do see that. So I say from my standpoint, I see it being 6 to 12 months at the longest, 0 to 6 months at the longest. But if Clark is smart and she understands the business aspect of things, she can end it sooner and really leave him in the gutters and the trenches and the of the manures piles that he comes from. And I would genuinely love that for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say if you're a subscriber, then you saw my video about the Today Show and Watch What Happens Live. And I talked to you about some things I noticed about Clark when it comes to Taylor and his lying and her reaction when they brought up marriage. So you can go and watch that to see more about what I thought about that over there. Y'all, I know that you want her to read everybody's chart, but
I cannot
belabor the live, y'all. I appreciate you, Glow, coming in here. Also, y'all, if you have not yet, click on Glow's face. Go follow her. Okay. She has readings about a lot of the couples. She has some thoughts about other people. Glow, do you want to tell the people about your services and how they can connect with you?
Oh, thanks. So I know a lot of people ask me if I do readings and things like that. So I do. I understand that in this economy that you're not going to always be able to afford a full reading. So there are little different mini readings that I do offer that are more affordable, where you can ask specific questions or focus on specific aspects of your chart, and I can get those answers out to you within 24 to 48 hours. And they're like $20 a pop, so you can always check those out as well. But then I also go into it. I am going to be adding like parents that want to look at specific child's charts. I will help you with that because knowing your child's chart is going to help you better understand them and also help you better prevent certain things from happening, as far as how your relationship is with them and how you can heal something before it begins. So I wish our parents had that. So the link is in my bio. You can always click it to see what's available, and then select a time, and we can get on the phone or get on a Zoom or whatever and go that route. So feel free to go on my page and do that, and then I'll also have little lives where we can always have those conversations as well. Working on creating that schedule as we speak.
Thank you so much, Glow. I'm so glad. I don't even think they're in here tonight, but like shout out to Free 99 Online because
Free 99 is wild.
They sent me and I was like, okay, this is a vibe. I need to get Glow on the line. Because y'all know that we talk about a lot of this stuff in here, right? Yes, y'all, it has been a lot of free intellectual labor. So I appreciate y'all sending gifts to Glow. I appreciate y'all giving likes and follows to Glow. I appreciate y'all booking your readings, getting what you need, right? because Black women are always worthy of their labor, right? And so I appreciate you, Glow, for showing up and doing this for us.
Thank you so much. And yeah, just reach out anytime. And the crazy thing is, you guys, we didn't know each other until like 2 days ago.
Literally.
Literally 2 days ago. So I have not seen all of her content. Everything that I've done has been pretty much blind, and everything that she's done has been pretty much blind. So for us to be able to come together and have this dynamic is crazy, but definitely worth it. And when you want me back on again, or if there's particular things you want me to look up, just let me know, and we can definitely have those conversations and give that to the audience. I want to.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for saying that. Y'all, I'm going to hang out a little bit longer with you just to answer any thoughts about Iris and Pepe. And y'all, I did post a public video about Janae. I don't talk about Janae publicly anymore, but I did post one because of the People interview. So you can go see what I thought about that.
I was watching that while I was on your live, and I was like, why is she messaging me while I'm watching? Yeah, no, please watch it. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me. It was honestly a pleasure meeting you and your husband. I really love you guys' dynamic, and you guys are such great parents. It's so good to watch the way you guys have such a healthy approach to parenting. Means a lot to see it. It does. Please continue.
We will.
Have a great day, you guys. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. I'll be in your inbox soon.
Sweet. Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.
Janae hasn't done anything crazy, y'all, but she did do an interview with People magazine. And I talked to y'all about PPG and how Janae does difficult emotions, and we heard a lot of that in the People interview. So I recommend that you go and listen to that video. It is my most recent public video. Subscribers, it also touches on some of the spiritual bypassing that I talked to y'all about as well. So if you haven't watched the spiritual bypassing video about Janae yet, go watch that one too, because a lot of that is showing up in that interview. So y'all, I appreciate y'all so much for coming in here and hanging with us. Glow, again, amazing. Really just love. Oh, I'm so glad that it helped you, Dia. I'm so glad. That's always the goal, right? Like, I look at these people's behaviors, I see the things, and then I try to say, okay, if you align with this, here's some ways for you to maybe approach this, right? Oh, thank you so much for subscribing. I got 2 more subscriptions. Camilla, thank you for subscribing. Her social, thank you so much for subscribing as well. Y'all, I appreciate y'all being in this space. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think Glow did great. Giselle, the only thing that I have to say about Pepe and Iris is beautiful gowns. I'm very shocked. I cannot believe that they have ended their relationship. I truly thought that it was there for the long run. I just definitely saw children coming. I saw marriage. I'm not shocked, y'all. Y'all know that. I've always said that they were... I've always said that they gave me, summer fling vibes, and I don't think it's anything wrong with that. Hi, Monsipoo. I don't think it's anything wrong with that. I hope they had fun while they were doing it, and good for them. And I hope they move on to the next thing. And yeah, they didn't even get to their dream date at the beach. Whole time they live in LA. Anyway, your flabbers are wasted. Your flabbers are gasted. I can't. Yeah, it's giving cool story, bro. Exactly. Summer camp is over. Yeah. So I don't believe that he cheated. I would need a separate source to confirm that for me. Yeah, there's lots of people that listen, y'all. My pinned video is my predictions about all the couples. And when I said that Iris and Pepe were giving summer fling, and that my presumption is that they would break up but remain good friends, they were pissed. Have you not seen their social media posts? Have you not seen they're spending so much time together? They're so connected. And I'm like, their social media posts are edited and like it can give whatever they want it to give. You know what I mean? Like it's not. I think they just broke up. Yes, Pia. People were like, "You need to have more faith in them." No, I don't. Not based on what I saw. Not based on what I saw. I don't need to have more faith in them. So they were always giving physical attraction and not a whole lot more than that. And that was always my reading on them. So yeah, I'm not shocked. My presumption is that we'll hear more as we continue to have a little space and time out of the villa. I needed to have less faith, apparently. Didn't even make it the entire summer. Right, we're not even at the fall solstice yet. We're not even at the fall solstice. So yeah, anywho, okay, I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for being on the live with us. I appreciate y'all. I will be live again tomorrow in the afternoon as we are preparing for the finale, right? Our reunion. Finally getting that out so we can be done. I know he ready. Mo said he's ready. Like, control it. AV, it is at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. If you go to my page, I do have it scheduled for y'all where you can register and then it should just like notify you. Does my partner have single 30-year-old cousins? All of his family is not shit, so I would not recommend any of them.
Well,
he is an exception.
Well, damn. They're called our Gemini.
Our Gemini, y'all. So yeah, I would. His family ain't shit. That's what I said. His family is not
my
shit.
family.
His family. None of the men in his family are men that I would be like, yeah, cause he knows I'm telling the
He
truth.
ain't denying it though.
He knows I'm telling the truth. He knows I'm telling the truth. It is what it is. No, Mia, I love me a Gemini. My baby is a Gemini. He's a June Gemini. I love me a Gemini. This one, what's your sun sign, babe?
Shit, nigga, I don't know.
He is a Sagittarius. That's your sun sign, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yes, this live will go onto YouTube. Yes, he is a June Gemini. He's the day before Juneteenth. And he was always such a thoughtful baby. When I was pregnant with him, okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna tell y'all. When I was pregnant with this last baby right here, I was supposed to have him like earlier in June, but at the time we were very active in the Christian church and we had a lot of like events planned that we were doing. And literally the night of our last event is when I went into labor. So he was a week late in order to let me finish up what I needed to get done. Always been a very considerate child. Deconstructed what, Ann? Oh, thank you so much, Nikisha. I'm so glad too. I'm glad that you're here. I will actually not be on my own. Oh, yes, Ann. I don't practice Christianity anymore.
Oh, thank you for that. No, we definitely don't.
Exactly. You do have to look at a whole chart. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Okay, yes. So, what was I going to say? So for the actual reunion, y'all, I will not be like live streaming the live, but if you go to my page and go to my repost, the repost that has Janae, she is going to be live streaming and then I'm going to join her right after the live, to give my thoughts. And then, yes, I will download all of my lives and always upload them for y'all. Okay. Love y'all so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Ooh, we're ending on 6/19 and I just talked about Juneteenth. Okay, that feels symbolic. All right, I will see y'all tomorrow. Hasta luego. Have a great night.
What?